If you can, comment, subscribe, share, and smash the like button on this video. So guys, this next story is coming from London ways. Two teenagers murdered a 16-year-old in cold blood in a case of mistaken identity in West London as they stabbed him 15 times while he was defenseless on the floor. Vanushan, Balakrishnan and Ilyas Suleiman, who were both aged 18, were found guilty of murdering the 16-year-old Rishmeet Singh. The Old Bailey heard how Rishmeet had left his friends at around 9 o'clock on the 24th of November 2021 and was walking home after an evening in the park in Southall when he saw two unknown males running towards him. Rishmeet immediately ran back towards his friends and shouted, "Run, run," but he tripped and fell on Raleigh Road, at which point one of his pursuers stabbed him at least 5 times in the back. Moments later, a second male also began to stab Rishmeet, doing so at least 10 times, the Met Police said. His attackers then fled, leaving Rishmeet bleeding on the ground. The whole attack, from when Rishmeet tripped, lasted 27 seconds, according to the force. Police and paramedics with London Ambulance Service rushed to Raleigh Road and receiving a 999 call from a member of the public, but were unable to save Rishmeet, who died at the scene just after 10 o'clock. I just want to say, rest in peace, Rishmeet, and my condolences go out to your family. Rishmeet had only arrived in the UK back in October 2019 with his mother and grandmother to seek asylum from Jalalabad in Afghanistan. In a statement, his mother said, "Rishmeet was my only child. He had his whole life ahead of him. No words could ever explain or put into context how I have felt since Rishmeet was taken from us. He has been raised with so much love and now he's gone. I'm struggling to understand as to how and why this has happened to my baby boy. I feel I've lost everything and my life is over." As part of the police's murder investigations, detectives tracked Rishmeet's movements both before and after the attack on CCTV and found that Balakrishnan and Suleiman, who were both aged 17 at the time, spent most of the day at a flat in Southall with 7 other people. The pair left the flat on their bike shortly before 9 p.m, changing the clothes they'd been wearing all day, arming themselves with knives and covering their faces with masks, which the jury heard was in a bid to hide their appearance as they intended to go out and commit murder. They cycled to the canal towpath where it's believed they saw Rishmeet say goodbye to his friends on a bridge above and walk off alone, making him an easy target before dumping their bikes and chasing after him on foot. Police said they were clearly identifiable in CCTV footage from the distinctive clothing and the mask they were wearing, including Balakrishnan's dark trousers with white stripe behind the knee. CCTV showed that they returned to the bridge to collect their bikes and cycled back to the flat. Analysis of the mobile phones found that Suleiman booked a taxi just before 9:30 to his home address and then Balakrishnan's home address. Balakrishnan was arrested on suspicion of murder at his home address on 2nd of December 2021, and detectives found lyrics he had written in a notebook and on his phone, some of which described unique features of Rishmeet's murder. His phone also showed that he was reading news reports about Rishmeet's murder, searching on Google only an hour after the murder, including tributes from his family about his good character and their belief that he was stabbed for the fake Gucci pouch he was wearing. Police said that on the 28th of November 2021, Balakrishnan wrote a note on his phone saying, "Saw a news statement, it says a good use, but he was out with pagans. Stupid media, it was a glide, not for some stupid shit he wears." So a glide is a slang for entering a rival's gang territory. However, the court heard that Rishmeet was not in a gang and the defendants were mistaken in their choice of target. Also, Balakrishnan's mobile phone with an image of a long knife on his bed with what appears to be blood on it was taken at 10:19 on the day of the murder. However, the knives were never recovered by the officers. The court heard that Suleiman went into hiding, having been reported missing by his mother for 2 days after police executed a warrant at his home address, and he was eventually released at an address in Edgware on December the 9th, 2021. So the pair are going to be sentenced in April. Detective Inspector Laura Semple said Rishmeet was an innocent old who had his whole life ahead of him. He had just spent an enjoyable evening with his friends and was making a short walk home when he was callously chased down and knifed to death by Balakrishnan and Suleiman. She said between them, they stabbed him 15 times while he was defenseless on the floor. There is never an excuse to murder someone in cold blood, but this case is made even more tragic by the fact that Rishmeet was wrongly targeted by his attackers. Balakrishnan and Suleiman left the flat that day with the intention of ending someone's life. Poor Rishmeet was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. My thoughts remain with Rishmeet's family and friends who have shown extraordinary courage throughout, including during the trial, where they were forced to relive Rishmeet's horrific last moments. So guys, some real sad news there coming from London. Rishmeet's mother also went on to say that Rishmeet was actually attending college to complete a public service course and his ambition was to become a cop. All he wanted to do was help people. She said Rishmeet was well loved by all that knew him. He was a faithful boy and he was very caring in his nature. She said, I lost my husband in Afghanistan. He was murdered over there. And now I've lost my only child, my son. Justice is finally served for Rishmeet, but their sentence will never be enough for me. They have taken my whole life away from me, and Rishmeet will never come home again. Another story coming from London ways. Tributes have been pouring in after a man in his 30s died from his injuries after a stabbing in East London last month. Named as Daps, the young man was reportedly on a life support for around a week before dying of wounds picked up in Walthamstow at around 6 o'clock on February the 22nd. Police have confirmed Daps died in hospital on Monday, March the 6th, which was yesterday. The two teenagers, who were aged 19 and 18, were also stabbed in the incident and later arrested. Since then, tributes have been flooding in on social media. One person said, "Rest in peace, my dear friend. I can't believe I'm writing this. I'm completely heartbroken. My heart goes out to Daps' family and friends. He is going to be extremely missed." The detectives believe that Daps was stabbed in the back and arm after a fight with a group of men on Stocksfield Road, near Brandon Road in Walthamstow. Detective Chief Inspector Mark Rogers continues to lead the investigation to sadly the victim, who has been in hospital since the attackers died. My thoughts are with his family and friends as they come to terms with this terrible loss, and they continue to be supported by specially trained officers. Such, our inquiry now is a murder investigation, and two men have previously been charged with attempted murder, and following the death, we will now consult with the CPS about the appropriate charge. The Chief Superintendent, Simon Crick, who is responsible for policing in North East London, said, I am deeply saddened by another needless death of a young man in our community. My thoughts and deepest condolences go out to the victim's family and friends at this extremely difficult time. I am also deeply concerned about the effect such incidents have on our communities. You will continue to see heightened police presence in the immediate vicinity over the coming days. So also I want to say rest in peace, Daps, and my condolences go out to your family. So guys, there's a couple of more stories with regards to people that have been stabbed to death. Honestly, when is it going to stop? It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.